Hello, welcome back to the reading of the poem of the Man-God written by Maria Valtorta, Volume 4. Chapter 453, Part 1, Near Gamala. Jesus entrusts the Church to the Blessed Virgin and speaks of mercy on oppressed people. 8th July 1946. Day is just dawning when Jesus awakes and sits up on his rustic bed made of earth and grass. He then stands up, picks up his sandals and the mantle with which he had covered himself as a protection from dew and the chill of the night, and cautiously steps over the tangle of legs, arms, bodies, and heads of the apostles asleep around him. He moves away a few steps with keen eyes to see where he lays his feet in the subdued gleam of dawn, which under the leafy trees is barely a feeble light. He arrives at an open meadow from which, through an opening between trees and rocks, one can catch a glimpse of a little strip of a lake which is waking up, and a large piece of the sky which is becoming clearer, passing from the gray-blue hue typical of the vault of heaven at daybreak to sky blue, while to the east it is already fading into a light yellow shade, which becomes more and more defined, and deeper, changing into a rosy yellow, and finally into a most beautiful pale coral blue hue. Dawn promises a lovely day, despite a very light haze which is reluctant to surrender the eastern sphere of the sky to daylight, and moves forward in such light veils of clouds that the blue sky does not suffer by it. On the contrary, it is embellished as if it were an ornament of snow-white muslin, fringed with gold and corals, constantly changing, and becoming more and more beautiful, as if it were striving to reach the perfection of its fleeting beauty before being destroyed by daylight with its triumphant sunshine. To the west, on the other hand, a few stars are still visible, although deprived of their bright night twinkling as light increases, and the moon, about to set behind the tops of mountains, sails on looking very pale, with no moonbeams, like a dying planet. Jesus, standing barefooted on the dewy grass, his arms folded across his chest, his head raised, watching the rising day, is pensive, or is speaking to the Father in a spiritual conversation. There is dead silence, so much so that the large drops of abundant dew can be heard falling on the ground. Jesus, still standing with arms folded, lowers his head and becomes engrossed in an even deeper meditation. He is completely absorbed in himself. His magnificent, wide-open eyes are fixed on the ground, as if they wished to wring a reply from the herbs. But I am sure that they do not even see the slow movement of stems quivering in the cold breeze of dawn, like people who wake up, stretch, turn round, stir themselves in order to awake completely, and be thus alert in all their nerves and muscles. He looks, but does not see the awaking of herbs and wild flowers, with their little branches, leaves, corollas, shaped like umbrellas, or growing in clusters, spikes, and tufts. Some of the flowers are isolated in calyces. Some are shaped like radiant crowns or snapdragons, cornucopias, plumes, or berries. Some are stiff on their stalks. Some are soft, hanging from stems which are not their own, and round which they have twined. Some are lying and creeping on the ground. Some are grouped in families of many little low, humble plants. Some are solitary, large, violent in hue and carriage. They are all intent on shaking off their petals, the dewdrops, which they no longer want, eager as they are now for sunshine only, as whimsical in their desires as in their layout. They are thus very much like men, who are never satisfied with what they have. Jesus seems to be listening, but he certainly does not hear either the rustling of the wind, which is becoming stronger and is amusing itself in shaking the dewdrops and making them fall, or the ever-increasing whisper of the little birds, which are awaking and telling one another their dreams of the night, or are exchanging their views on the warm, canorous nests in which, among down and soft hay, nestlings so far bare are beginning to show plumage, or are opening their huge beaks wide, showing their greedy red throats, and screeching in their first exacting request for food. Jesus seems to be listening, but he certainly does not hear the first scoffing call of the blackbird, the first sweet song of the blackcap, or the golden trilled note of the skylark, which rises joyfully towards the early sun, or the shrieking which rends the quiet air of the many swallows which leave the rocks where they built their nests and begin to weave their untiring flights from the earth to the sky. Neither does he hear the wild cry of a magpie perched on a branch of an oak near him, and seems to be asking, "Who are you? What are you pondering?" deriding him. Not even that interrupts his meditation. But who does not know that magpies are spiteful? This one, tired of seeing an intruder on the little meadow, which is perhaps its territory, tears off the oak tree 2 lovely acorns joined on one single stem, and with the precision of a first-class shot drops them on Jesus' head. It is not a heavy shell, capable of hurting, but taking into account the height from which it is dropped, it is sufficiently solid to shake the pensive one, who looks up and sees the bird which, with its wings opened out and nodding in a funny way, rejoices at its shot. Jesus smiles gently, shakes his head. He sighs as a conclusion of his meditation, and he moves away, walking up and down. The magpie, with a laugh and a mocking cry, flies down to the meadow, flapping its wings, searching, scratching about the grass, freed from the intruder. Jesus looks for some water, but he does not find any. He resigns himself to going back to the apostles, but birds teach him where to find it. Flocks of them fly towards some very wide calyx-shaped flowers, which in actual fact are little cups containing water, or they alight on wide, hairy leaves, where each hair has retained a drop of dew, and they quench their thirst there, or have their ablutions. Jesus imitates them. He collects in the hollow of his hand the water of some calyxes and refreshes his face. He picks some wide, hairy leaves, and with them he removes the dust from his bare feet. He cleans his sandals and puts them on, and with some more leaves he washes his hands till he sees that they are clean, and he smiles, whispering, "The divine perfection of the Creator." He is now refreshed, tidy, because with his wet hand he has tidied up his hair and beard, and as the first sunbeams turn the meadow into a mat studded with diamonds, he goes to wake up the apostles and the women. Both groups are hardly able to awaken, tired as they are. Mary is awake, but she is unable to move because of the little boy who is sleeping, clinging to her breast, with his little head under her chin. And the mother, on seeing Jesus appear at the entrance of the grotto, smiles at him with her kind blue eyes, while her face becomes rosy out of the joy of seeing him. And she frees herself from the child, who whispers a little on being moved. She gets up and goes towards Jesus with her silent, slightly rolling gait of a modest dove. This has been a reading from the poem of the Man-God, written by Maria Valtorta, Volume 4, Chapter 453, Part 1. Near Gamala, Jesus entrusts the Church to the Blessed Virgin and speaks of mercy on oppressed people. Thank you for listening. I will see you tomorrow. May God bless you, and may peace be with you.